helping people around the world communicate for free. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, please enter your... Thank you. There is one other participant in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Dan here.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Dan. Good evening.
Hey, David.
Hi, John. There you go. Welcome everyone to the September 5th, 2023 Village Board meeting. If you could please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I get a motion to open the public hearing for apportionment and assessment to cover costs of the water system improvements.
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Dan or Dave, who's setting things up?
Probably Dan, I think.
Dan, do you want to lead us off on this?
Sure. This hearing is to take comment on the proposed rate system for the Village of Poland's water supply. We've been working, a group of us have been working on this for several years and proposed a system comprised of two components. One is a rate based on flow, and the other is a service charge, which is a fixed quarterly charge. This system represents a significant departure from the prior system, which had a significantly declining scale. That is, the biggest users paid the least, and the littlest users paid, on a per unit basis, paid substantially more. We believe that the proposed system better balances that mix between small users and big users. I've done several presentations on this over the years, and I believe there was a PowerPoint on the website that may still be there for people to review. But essentially, the smallest users will see a very, very tiny increase in cost, and the biggest users will see a much more significant increase in cost. Incentivizing conservation, we're trying to conserve water. This is necessary and is the first rate change since, I believe, 2016. The village board proposed a rate change back in 2019, but with the advent of COVID, it deferred that. it is necessary to generate enough money to pay for the improvements made at the Umscheid water supply groundwater source and also the Lower Baxter groundwater source, which is now under construction. Umscheid is online and has been online for about 3 years. We expect the Lower Baxter source to be online by December of this year. I think that's a decent summary. If anybody has any comments, I would try to.
I just wanted to
walk through it
add,
with you.
Dan, that we've been under a consent order to find this new water supply as well.
Thank you, Mayor. That is absolutely correct. The Health Department issued a consent order, I believe in 2019. I don't remember the exact date. This has been an ongoing problem. When the reservoir was abandoned in the mid-1980s, the village didn't have enough water. It sought to overcome that challenge by developing the Baxter wells. They quickly didn't provide enough water for the system. The Baxter wells went into use in about 2000, but the village really didn't have sufficient resources until the Umscheid source was found in 2019. The Health Department issued a consent order making the village pursue alternative sources of supply and additional sources of supply. The Department of Environmental Conservation was also involved with the permits and put additional restrictions on usage based on their look at the total environment, not just the human environment. But we have the regulatory approval to do everything that we've done. As soon as the Lower Baxter source is fully online, the terms of the consent order will be met.
And just to be clear, the water system that we had up until recently has been all bedrock wells that quickly failed on us for quantity. We also had failures for quality on those bedrock wells. So these new water supply systems are sand and gravel wells, which we should not have experienced any failures on these, correct?
That is correct. These sand and gravel units are much more predictable in terms of their continuous yield of water. Russell Urban Mead, our hydrogeologist of 30 or so years here in the Hudson Valley, identified both the Umscheid source, and it was pumped and tested, and the Lower Baxter source, which was also pumped and tested. Both of these sources have excellent quality. The water is not as hard as the water from the bedrock wells here. We don't anticipate any diminution in source capacity like we saw at the bedrock Baxter source. The quality meets all state and federal drinking water standard limits, and in fact is not detected for the new emerging contaminants PFOA and PFOS. So they're both excellent sources of supply.
And can you speak to the annual water report that we mailed out to every resident, where we were ordered by the health department to close a couple of our wells due to those emergent contaminants?
Yes, I'd be happy to. When the surface water source was taken out of service in the mid-1980s, the village board at the time sought to install a second well at the Corbin location off Corbin Road. It's adjacent to the Swamp River, but it's also down gradient of all of the village's use, including the historic industrial uses. Not only did it fail to produce anywhere near the amount of water that it was first tested to produce, but it also has low-level blemishes with respect to PFOA and PFOS. It it meets standards, and it is used now only as a backup in the event of some emergency that might occur. But as soon as the Lower Baxter wells fully come online, the Corbin well will be abandoned. The other well that is blemished are the Libby wells. These are very deep bedrock wells. They have natural radionuclide contaminants, that is, Mother Nature in the deposition of rock here in the Hudson Valley. Some of that water contained low levels of radioactive chemicals or compounds. The Libby well has not been used at all in 2023, and the village board made the determination that it shall not be used in 2023. If in fact we did turn it into the system, the village would be faced with a violation of maximum contaminant level for that natural radioactivity. That's why it has not and will not be used. Again, as soon as the Lower Baxter wells are online and completed works approval is received, the Libby wells will be permanently abandoned.
Thank you, Dan. Does the board have any questions?
No, thanks, Dan.
Okay, so.
Thank you all.
Going to open it up for comment. If we could please be timely with any questions and state your name and address if you want to make a comment. Does anybody have any?
I do. Francine Burden, 23 Prospect Street, and I have an empty lot on Westmont. I do not have town water. When we built our house back in the 70s, we were told there were no pipes at our end of the street. So we put the well in, we put our septic in. Then when the sewer came in, we had to shut down our septic quick and hook up to the sewer line. So that's that. All these years, I've been paying sewer on an empty lot and my home, which I understand. I just want the board to tell me, where are these pipes available for town water now? There are no pipes. I've lived there all my life. It stops on Westmont. It does not go to Prospect Street, the water pipes. So am I to assume that we're going to be putting pipes in for us to have to hook up to town water and my well would be shut down? Is that, I'm kind of confused.
Dan, it's my understanding that there
Yeah.
are water lines on these streets.
No, they put
Yes,
in.
yes, they're all part of Town Water District Number 1. In fact, Mayor, I plan on being in the village the week of September 17th. I'd be happy to, I didn't hear the lady's name, I'd be happy to stop by her house and show her the maps of that we have of water mains in her area.
Okay.
If she would like that kind of visit, I'd be happy to do that during the week of the 18th.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be there. Just give me the time and the date, and I want him to show me where these pipes are in front of our homes. 23 Prospect.
I will, and
We can look.
23 Prospect, and your contact, like a phone, you can give the mayor a phone number that I can call when I get to town.
Okay.
You don't have to list that for me.
Yeah, I don't need you to blast that out to everybody. So,
Yeah.
Along those same lines, my name's Jim Savarese at 23 Westmount Avenue, which is just down the block from there. Been there 26 years too, and I've gone through 2 well pumps in that time. Had inquired, and I don't remember who gave answers to the fact that we didn't have access to, it wasn't even an option to explore to hook up to the town water. So we'd have put 2 well pumps in at decent expense. Would have liked to have known all these years that that was an option, if it indeed it was. And I'd also be interested, we're working now, so I don't know if we can arrange a time, but yeah, I'd like to know where those pipes
I'm
are
sorry,
too.
your address again?
It's 23 Westmount Avenue, right at the
Same
end, right in the
house
corner.
number,
It's the
different.
corner of Westmount and Prospect.
Okay.
So
All right,
We'll put
we'll
that-
either do a door-to-door thing, or maybe one evening, Dan, while you're here that week, we could open the back room upstairs and have the maps and have whoever's interested come that evening or something, so
Whatever works for them, Mayor, I'm happy to do. I'm in town in the village the whole
we'll
week.
arrange it either way or both
Okay.
options and have that provided. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I have a question. I'm Lonnie Powers, 3 Grandview Avenue. I was just curious as to how you arrived at this figure of $120 service charge that you're charging every household. And that's the first question. Second question is, why wasn't it just figured in as part of the rate hike? Because you are raising our rates supposedly, but we also have this additional service charge. And I was just curious as to how this service charge.
I'd be happy to answer that. Those are very good questions, and I hope I have a very good answer for it. The rate system that we're proposing, as you identified, has 2 components: a service charge at $30 per quarter, and a rate charge for the actual volume of water you use. The thing is, not every property uses water year-round. Some people close their house down in the winter and go to Florida. And during that period of time, they still have the availability of water, but they're not using water. Similarly, some other folks have undeveloped lots or properties. That lot or property benefits by having the water main available in front of it. If that's ever sold, the future developer of that lot can have access to water without having to spend the money on drilling a well and putting in a pump and a treatment system, maybe, and a plumbing system for the source. So there is a benefit to properties not associated with flow, with use. And that's what we are attempting to distribute or capture for each of the properties. Whether they use any water, they still would be contributing because of the availability of water. The model, one of the models that we used in terms of developing this was the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, which uses a very similar model for the water supplies that they oversee. They have a service charge, which is fixed, and they have a use charge. When we did a comparison of their rates with the rates that we're proposing today, I believe in every case, the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority's rates were higher than what we're proposing.
Did that answer?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you. What would the board like to do with no further questions?
No. I'm comfortable moving forward. We've had this discussion for the past year.
We've had the
You know,
presentations.
We've had presentations. You know, I'm comfortable moving forward. Just so the board's aware, I have a vacant lot, so I'm paying that additional $100 a year for a lot that's not built on. I have water available to me, and I figured out my own water bill, and I'm actually going to be increased a little bit. So.
And your what, I'm sorry?
My water usage that I use for my current residence will be slightly increased.
Plus
Okay.
having the additional costs for his vacant
Well, the
lot.
vacant lot, which,
Okay, thank you. So
Right,
everybody's.
okay, but, I'm sorry, can I ask another question real quick?
Okay.
So if I meet this gentleman who, was on, and I'm gonna come here and it finds out that there's no pipes there, I want to know what the next step is.
Well, then Dan, you wanna talk about
Do
that?
they,
I
does
mean,
the-
in my
No,
mind, if there's
the
not a
water
pipe.
main is
Go ahead.
correct. The way we set it up, if the water main is not available to your lot, then you wouldn't be charged
Right,
the service charge or a use charge.
right. It's
Okay.
only if the pipe is in front of your house,
Okay.
or
so
your
then-
lot, I should say.
Okay, so, well, I'll meet with him, because, like I said, I've lived there all my life, so I know the pipes are not there, not unless they came in the middle of the night and put them in, there's been no holes or nothing, and they just blacktopped the road. There's no, I guess, like the sewer pipe, I pay sewer on it, but I don't know how they'll find the sewer hookup for it, because it's been vacant for 40 years, the lot. So I will wait and meet with him and just see. I just wanna know if they find
Yeah,
the
so-
pipes, who pays the bill to hook up? Do we do it like we did with the sewer?
I believe so, yes, if the pipe is there. So if the pipe is not there, then you're not gonna be part of this.
Okay, okay,
Okay?
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm. How does everybody else feel?
I'm fine moving forward.
I agree, yeah.
So then can I get a motion to close, the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so now, I guess we'll go into the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So now, this is where we're going to approve the apportionment and the assessments that were just previously discussed and what has been proposed with the letters going out to all the landowners. So can I get a motion to approve these apportionment and assessments?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
That also includes the new rates. That's
Oh,
part of it
I'm
as well.
sorry,
Yep.
and it includes the new rates.
That's in the resolution.
Okay, sorry. All right, Dan, you're up to discuss the Lower Baxter Wellfield contract number 2.
Yes, you have a proposal in front of you from American. We embarked, with my recommendation, the village board embarked on a plan to move forward with the well field work prior to writing a general contract for the treatment works, chlorine contact, and electrical hookup. These are facilities that are necessary to provide access to each of the 5 new wells, and also to provide each of the 5 new wells with communication capability and electrical capability. So this contract 2 is the last of the contracts that we contemplated to get the work in the well field completed before the general contractor was hired to build the treatment plant and the other works. When we initially contemplated this, I thought it would have been done by early summer, but nothing quite ever goes quite according to plan. So this work was not included in the general contractor's work for the treatment plant and chlorine contact and connection to the system, and needs to be done. And I'm recommending to the board that it be approved and authorized tonight.
Anybody have any questions regarding this?
So we're putting this out to bid, is that?
No, we did. We requested quotes, and we received one quote. It went to 3 different vendors, 2 of whom did not reply, and American was the only one that did reply.
So we're giving them the contract. Anybody else have any questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
All second?
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
And thank you for the work on the rates. Everybody worked really hard, and I'm really thankful that we got it done, because it's going to make everything run smoother.
Well, thank you for all your efforts on it. We do appreciate everything, so. Last item before the engineer's report is we had gone into an agreement with Constellation. It was to look at our energy use and to reduce our electric bills. What it actually has done is just added all of the paperwork and billing, so we still receive the NYSEG bills, but we also then receive Constellation bills, and it's just very time consuming, and it hasn't bared fruit for giving us any reduction in our energy bills. So I'm proposing to cancel our efforts with Constellation and just stick with NYSEG for now, monitoring it to see if we can ever find a solution, but at this point, this has just been cumbersome and no relief, so I can't see continuing in this direction, so.
I agree.
Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding that?
No.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve the letter to release us from that agreement?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Dan, you have engineers report?
Just really quick, we have the two main contractors for the Lower Baxter Treatment Plant are Kesselman Electric and TNA. They are both working. We met with NYSEG today. I haven't seen the report on that meeting, but both contractors are working nicely together. The excavation for the treatment plant building is down to good, hard ground, and I expect the footings to be poured this week and the initial foundation to start in next week or at the latest the week after. So I'm pleased. Both contractors are alert, active, come to the table. When issues arise, they're resolved quickly, and we're moving forward. So I'm pleased with the activity.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Dan, when you're in town, what's the date?
The week of
The week, I come in late on the 17th. I'll be there. I fly home on I think it's the Friday the 22nd. But I'm there for a full 4 days.
Okay.
18th through 21st, I believe.
All right, very good. Yeah, I talked to Gary. He'd offered to give a couple of us a tour down there of their progress. So, I'll be back in touch with him and we'll set something up.
Maybe we can do it the week that you're here, Dan, and that as many board members, if we can do it kind of late in the day, as many board members as possible will be available to do that.
Split it up, yeah. Yep.
I think it'd be great to do it. That, eyes on is always important.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we have August bills in the amount of $128,091. Let me try that again. $128,091.93. Can I get a motion to approve the August bills?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting and go into public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any other public comment?
Yes, I just have another question about this service charge that every household is being charged. Now, is there going to be an accounting as that money is used so that we can see exactly what's being done and, where the money's going and, what is actually being done with it? I mean, it's a lot of money when you think about it. So I'm just wondering how the accounting is going to be done for that, for us to.
Mayor, I'd be happy to answer that if you prefer.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Dan.
So the village is required to maintain different funds. The money generated from the water users must be accounted for separately, for example, from money accrued for wastewater use. Because the population of the village, or the village in the case of wastewater, the village in the town that gets that benefit is never exactly the same. So the village is obligated to keep track of, in a separate fund, a water fund, all of the revenue that comes in for the purpose of operating the water supply system. In the event that we've erred a little bit on the heavy side on this, then money would go into what's known as a fund balance, but they could only be used for water supply purposes. And if, in the event that after a few years the fund balance became too high, then the board would be obligated to revisit the rates and get them more in alignment with the need of the community. Similarly, if in fact we undershot with this rate and it wasn't generating quite enough revenue, then there's mechanisms under village law to temporarily transfer money from account to account, but it would be a due to, due from, so that only those folks who get the benefit of the water supply contribute the money to keep the water supply in operation. And there is never an intent for the village to make money from the water supply facilities.
Thank you.
Government's not in the business of making money. It's to cover the expenses of running the government. Yes, your name?
My name is Sharon Haley. I've lived here for over 50 years. And it seems as though, I live up on Richard Street, it seems as though from the day I've been here, we've had water problems, you know, in this village. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, you're doing what you can, but it seems so difficult to solve, to have adequate water. Now, with all these new apartment buildings in town, you know, and one being built in Colito Plaza now, that will, I assume will be on the water system too. Are we going to be looking to dig more wells in a couple of years? Because we still don't have adequate water, you know? That's my
Mayor,
worry.
if I may answer that.
Sure, Dan.
So in a water supply project, the planning is done for multiple decades out. We were required to provide documentation to both State Health Department and the Department of Environmental Conservation that the resource meets all of the average day use and the maximum day use, which is roughly twice the average day use, with the largest well out of service. We have demonstrated that the proposed works, the wells at Lower Baxter and the wells at Ohmscheid, have sufficient capacity for all projects that were contemplated on the books when we did these studies over the last 3 or 4 years, and more to spare beyond that. So your question is exactly right. We aren't building for today or yesterday. We're building this supply for tomorrow.
So once both well fields are fully up and running, Ohmscheid's already up and running, Lower Baxter should be up and running December, January timeframe. We'll have that adequate water supply. What will continue to be a challenge for the village is our very old infrastructure. That's the challenge moving forward, is the maintenance of our valves and our pipes and getting funding to replace some of our damaged and old infrastructure.
Well,
Is that put on the homeowners? Is that going to be put on the homeowners when that
Well, we're gonna
happens?
chase grant dollars the best we
Okay.
can, but it was on the homeowners back when it got put in the ground, and unfortunately, there's a life expectancy
Right.
to everything, and so,
yeah, and they're shut now.
yeah.
I mean, come on, let's
Yeah.
be honest. And who drinks that damn water? Nobody.
Well, I do.
Well,
A
you're
lot of
a
people do.
rarity.
Yeah.
Seriously, you know,
Yeah.
we all buy the water in Hannaford.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but.
But I have to tell you, this new water
Yeah,
supply
they-
is pristine.
Yeah.
Well,
It
well, That's
is-
great to hear.
It's good quality water.
Uh-huh.
One of the other things that we are gonna be doing in October, that should have been done a long time ago, is flushing of all of our hydrants,
Mhm.
so that you're getting all of that gunk
Gunk, yeah.
They used to
build
do
up,
that.
flushed out, yes.
Yeah,
So
they did
that needs to get done. However, bear in mind, it requires to fully force the water.
Mhm.
And with that,
Those problems.
we
Right,
may
there'll be
bust
problems.
some pipes
Yeah,
in the process,
exactly.
but we've gotta get it done. So
Yeah.
that is being planned out for
Yeah.
October. It will be on our website. It will start from the beginning of our supply. We will be putting it out as to what roads will be done when, so you'll know when it's being done in your neighborhood, and it will go down through the line over the course of a few weeks.
That's great.
So that is coming in October. So that's something that's been needed for quite some time, but to be expected,
Thank you.
some issues, so. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to go into executive session for litigation?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Dan, you're,
Thank you, Dan.
we're all set.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good night.
Thank you all. Good night and be well.
Thank you. Is that contacted? Yeah. Okay, so would you prefer to come here, or would you prefer that he comes there? So whatever we can arrange?
Do you think there's a lot of residents? Because if there's a lot of people.
We might wanna just do like a meeting.
Right, but if it's just you and a couple of, you know.
Well, that end of
And
the street, I mean, I
she-
live 70-some years old. I'll be very surprised if you find it. Like, there's
Okay.
two hydrants on that whole
Above
circle.
Newburgh to babysit.
And like I said, if there's water there, fine, a lot, like you said, it's a benefit.
The hydrants do indicate there's a water line, because that's on our water line.
For the lot, at my house. I have
Oh,
a
you did?
lot,
Yeah.
There's no hydrants there. So
Oh,
we'll
so
wait till he
I was
shows
driving
me.
for another
Okay.
day.
Yep,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you.
That trip to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the week of the
So,
18th,
Yeah,
we'll try to
that's-
set it up maybe just
If
prior
you
to
can't get me
that.
at home, I'm at the nursing
Yep,
home.
I
didn't
know.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's rain on you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Yeah, you
Okay.
too. Thank you.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Well, did we get our questions answered?
Okay. I live in town.
It's
not.
Who's talking?
My mom, somebody here lives by the high school.
Yeah.
And I live over I mean, where do you live? I think it's Village.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm feeling it.
So, and I live, I don't care if they can record my live, they don't.
Thank you.
I live on, I live in Deerfield Commons. I like it, I've been there 5 years.
All right.
But we pay for our own water in there, there's our own well, and we pay for all that. I just came to support my mother. So we have our own sewer and water and that.
Is he local or?
He was local, he's probably out of.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different.
All right, and I drink bottled water too.
Yeah, me too.
See, I don't have, the water in the fridge.
You know, but, you know, I just do the, right, before, you know. I haven't read it, but.
Yeah, it was hot today, wasn't it?
Brutal, brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, can I get a motion to close executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And get a motion to reopen our meeting,
I'll make a
regular
motion.
meeting.
I'll make the motion to open the regular meeting.
Thank you.
A second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There were no decisions or votes made in executive session. Can I get a motion to close the regular meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.